The darkness of space stretched out like a black canvas, broken only by the soft blinking lights of the SR-721 stealth reconnaissance ship. Inside the cramped bridge, Captain Hyunwoo Park sat perfectly still, his eyes scanning the holographic displays that flickered with star charts and system readings. "Anything unusual, Kim?" He called out to Sergeant Jae-sung Kim, who was hunched over a complex communication panel. Jae-sung's fingers danced across the screens, his face a mask of concentration. "Negative, Captain," he responded, his voice calm but alert. "We're deep in uncharted space, just like Command briefed us." The mission was simple on paper, but incredibly dangerous in practice. 6 Green Beret operators had been sent to gather intelligence on the Galactic Council's border systems. No human had ever penetrated this far into unknown alien territory before. Their stealth technology was cutting edge, designed to make the ship virtually invisible to any scanning systems. Private Sung Min-yu, the youngest member of the team, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. At 24, he was the most junior operator, but he had earned his place through grueling training and an uncanny ability to stay calm under pressure. His hand rested near his weapon, a custom-modified pulse rifle that could punch through most known alien armor. Lieutenant Suk-jin Lee was studying the ship's tactical display. His fingers traced potential escape routes, backup plans forming in his mind faster than most people could think. Green Berets were known for their ability to survive and complete missions under impossible conditions, and Lee embodied that spirit perfectly. Suddenly, a sharp beep cut through the quiet of the bridge. "Contact!" Jae-sung shouted, multiple energy signatures emerging from quantum space. Captain Park was already moving. "Evasive maneuvers," he commanded. But it was too late. Space around them erupted in a brilliant display of energy. Massive alien ships materialized from seemingly nowhere, their hulls gleaming with technologies far beyond human understanding. Weapons that looked like living metal began charging, casting an eerie blue-green light across the bridge. "They're blocking our quantum jump," Corporal Min-ho Choi called out from the engineering station. "Our escape routes are being jammed." The ship rocked violently. Alien energy weapons struck their shields, each impact sending shuddering waves through the hull. Sophisticated as their technology was, the Green Beret ship was now caught in a trap. Sergeant Dong-Huk Kang, the team's combat medic, began securing emergency medical equipment. Years of training had taught him that in special operations, being prepared meant the difference between life and death. "How did they find us?" Sung Min asked, his voice tight with tension. Captain Park's response was calm and direct. "It doesn't matter now. We focus on survival." More alien ships continued to appear, forming a perfect containment formation around the human vessel. It was clear this was a planned, coordinated attack. The Galactic Council had been waiting for them. "Prepare for boarding," Hyunwoo Park said, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We're not going down without a fight." The ship's lights flickered. External systems began to fail. In moments, the Green Beret team would face their first real test against the mysterious Galactic Council, and they would soon prove that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. The bright lights hurt Captain Hyunwoo Park's eyes. He blinked slowly, trying to focus on his surroundings. The last thing he remembered was the violent shaking of their ship, alien boarding teams breaking through their defenses. Now he was in a small white room. The walls seemed to pulse with a soft, unnatural light. Metallic restraints held him down to a hard surface that felt more like a surgical table than a bed. His body ached. Each movement sent sharp pain through his muscles. Across the room, he could see his team. Each Green Beret was contained in a similar setup. They were separated, but close enough to see each other. Their eyes met, communicating without words. Years of training had taught them to stay calm, to observe, to plan. The door opened with a soft hiss. 3 aliens entered. They were unlike anything the humans had seen before. The first was tall and thin, with skin that looked like polished blue metal. Its head was shaped like an elongated diamond, with multiple eyes that seemed to move independently. The second was shorter, with what looked like tentacles instead of arms. Its body was covered in something that resembled living crystals. The third was the most human-like, but still clearly not from Earth, with pale green skin and 4 arms. Human specimen Alpha. The blue metallic alien spoke. Its voice sounded like multiple sounds happening at the same time. "You will answer our questions." Captain Park said nothing. He had been trained for this. Minimal communication, maximum observation. The alien moved closer. A device extended from its hand, something between a medical instrument and a weapon. "Your mission parameters. Explain." Sergeant Jae-sung Kim, always the tech expert, was studying the room. He noticed small details. The way the walls seemed to shift. How the light changed subtly with each movement. Something about this place wasn't natural. Private Sung Minyu was the youngest, but he showed no fear. His eyes constantly scanned the room, looking for any possible weakness. Military training had prepared him for interrogation, for capture, for survival. Lieutenant Suk-jin Lee was doing what he did best, analyzing. He watched the aliens' movements, their communication patterns. Something was off. They were too confident, too sure of themselves. Corporal Minho Choi had already begun working on his restraints. His fingers moved almost invisibly, testing the strength of the metallic bands that held him down. The interrogation continued. The aliens used advanced technology, mental probes that tried to extract information directly from their minds. But Green Berets were not ordinary soldiers. Their mental training was as advanced as their physical conditioning. "Interesting," the crystal-covered alien said. "The human mind resists our standard extraction protocols." Sergeant Dong Hyuk Kang, the team's medic, was monitoring his teammates. He could see the subtle signs of stress, of resistance. They were holding together. They were surviving. Hours passed, or what felt like hours. Time seemed different in this place. The aliens tried everything. Psychological manipulation, technological mind-reading devices, threats, promises. Nothing worked. Captain Park knew one thing. They would escape. It wasn't a hope. It was a certainty. The aliens did not understand humans. They thought technology and force could break human spirit. They were wrong. Very wrong. As the interrogation continued, the Green Beret team began to form their plan. Silently, carefully, waiting for the perfect moment to turn the tables on their captors. Sergeant Jae-sung Kim watched the room carefully. His eyes never stopped moving. The walls might look solid, but he knew better. Technology always had weak points. Always. Every hour, the aliens brought new devices. Every hour, they failed to break the Green Beret team. Kim had already mapped out 3 potential escape routes in his mind. He noticed how the light panels worked, how the door mechanisms moved, how the energy barriers flickered for just a millisecond every 17 minutes. 17 seconds, he whispered to himself. Just enough time. If someone was quick. Very quick. Lieutenant Suk-jin Lee caught his eye. A single nod. They were thinking the same thing. Communication without words. The way special forces teams worked best. The detention facility was massive, built to hold the most dangerous criminals from hundreds of different alien civilizations, but it had never held humans before. That was going to be a problem for the Galactic Council. Corporal Minho Choi had been studying the restraints that held him. His fingers moved almost invisibly. Years of training had taught him how to work with his hands, how to find weaknesses in systems, how to break free when no one expected it. Private Sung Minyu watched the guards, young but sharp. He noticed patterns, how they moved, how often they changed shifts, how they looked at the prisoners. Some seemed curious, some seemed afraid. Sergeant Dong Hyuk Kang was monitoring his teammates' physical conditions. A medic's job was more than just healing. It was about understanding the human body, understanding stress, understanding survival. Captain Hyunwoo Park remained calm. His mind was a computer, processing, analyzing, planning. The aliens made a critical mistake. They thought technology could control everything. They were wrong. Humans were different. Humans adapted. Humans survived. Kim's fingers moved almost imperceptibly. He was working on a small device he had hidden, something the aliens had missed during their search, a tiny piece of communication technology, something that could change everything. "We need a distraction," Lee whispered during a moment when the surveillance seemed weakest. Choi's eyes gleamed. He knew what that meant. In special forces, a distraction was an art form, something that could turn a hopeless situation into a chance of escape. The facility seemed impenetrable. Massive energy barriers, advanced scanning systems, guards from multiple alien species. But the Green Beret team saw something different. They saw opportunities. Hours passed. The team continued to observe, to plan, to wait for the perfect moment. The aliens continued to underestimate them. That was their first mistake. You noticed something interesting. A maintenance cycle in the security systems. A tiny window. Most would miss it, but not a trained special forces operator. 17 seconds, Kim repeated to himself. A countdown had begun. The walls of the detention facility held many prisoners, but none like these 6 humans, none who would accept defeat, none who would stop fighting. The Galactic Council thought they had won. They were about to learn a very important lesson about human determination. Escape was coming, and it would be spectacular. The moment came quickly, too quickly for the aliens to understand what was happening. 17 seconds. That's all they needed. Sergeant Jae-sung Kim's hidden device activated. It sent out a tiny pulse that made the energy barriers flicker. Just for a moment. But a moment was all the Green Beret team needed. Corporal Min Ho Choi moved first. His hands, which had been carefully working on his restraints for hours, suddenly broke free. The metallic bands that seemed unbreakable snapped like thin wire. He rolled off the table, landing without a sound. Now, Captain Hyunwoo Park's voice was barely a whisper. The first explosion was small, just enough to cause confusion. Choi had created a tiny device from scraps he had been collecting. Parts that looked like nothing. Pieces that the aliens had missed during their searches. Alarms began to sound, but they were too late. Lieutenant Suk-jin Lee was already moving. His hands found a panel on the wall. Months of studying alien technology had taught him something important. All systems had weaknesses. All technology could be fooled. The door to his cell opened. Then the next. Then the next. Private Sung Min-yu was the fastest. Young. Trained. Ready. He grabbed the first alien guard before the creature could even understand what was happening. A precise strike. Learned from years of military training. Sergeant Dong Huk Kang grabbed medical equipment. Not for healing. For fighting. In special forces, anything could be a weapon. The detention facility erupted into chaos. Aliens ran in all directions. Their advanced technology suddenly seemed useless. The Green Beret team moved like a single machine, each person knowing exactly what to do, exactly where to go. Kim's communication device continued to work its magic. Security systems began to fail. Doors opened that should have stayed closed. Barriers dropped that should have remained solid. "We've got 17 minutes, Captain Park said. That's all we need." Choi found the facility's armory. Locked. Secured. Impossible to break into. But nothing was impossible for a Green Beret. Another small explosion. The door opened. Alien weapons lined the walls. Different from human technology. More advanced. More complex. But weapons were weapons. Lee began selecting. Studying. Understanding. You kept watch, his young eyes missing nothing. Catching every movement. Every potential threat. Kang collected medical supplies. Anything that might be useful. Anything that might help them survive. The alarms continued. but they sounded different now. Confused. Broken. Kim's device was doing more than just opening doors. It was talking to the facility's main computer, telling it lies, creating false information, misdirecting. The Green Beret team moved like shadows, like ghosts, like something the aliens had never seen before. 17 minutes. That's all they needed to turn a secure detention facility into complete chaos. The escape was beginning, and the Galactic Council was about to learn a very important lesson about human beings. Never underestimate someone who has nothing left to lose. The alien armory was unlike anything the Green Beret team had ever seen. Weapons that looked more like art than tools of war. Devices that seemed to glow with inner light. Colors that changed as they moved. "Don't touch anything without checking first," Captain Hyun-woo Park warned. Sergeant Jae-sum Kim was already working. His fingers moved quickly over the alien tech. He might not understand everything, but he understood systems. All systems had rules. All technology had patterns. "These aren't just weapons," he said. "These are advanced communication devices, quantum-linked technology." Corporal Min-ho Choi began selecting items carefully. A weapon that looked like a silver rod. Another that seemed to be made of living light. His demolitions training told him these were more than simple guns. Lieutenant Suk-jin Lee studied the room's layout. Escape routes. Potential traps. Ways to use the environment against their pursuers. Private Sung Min-yu kept watch. His young eyes missed nothing. The facility was still in chaos. Alarms continued to sound. But they were becoming weaker, more confused. Sergeant Dong-hyuk Kang collected medical supplies. Alien technology was different, but healing had universal principles. "We've got 5 minutes, Captain Park said. "Grab what you can use." Kim found something special, a device that looked like a small crystal. When he touched it, it began to change colors. "This is a quantum communication hub," he said. "We can use this to send messages, to track, to confuse." Choi's eyes lit up. Confusion was a weapon, especially in special operations. The team moved quickly, precisely, like a single machine with many parts. Each person knew their job. Each person knew their role. Alien weapons went into special carriers, devices that could disrupt their own technology. Communication units that could send false signals. Medical supplies that might save their lives. "We're not just escaping," Captain Park said. "We're sending a message." The message was simple. Humans were not victims. Humans were not prisoners. Humans would fight back. You grabbed a device that looked like a small silver ball. When he touched it, it began to pulse with light. "Captain," he called. "This looks important." Lee checked it quickly. "Communication relay," he said. "High-level encryption. More weapons, more supplies." The team worked fast. They knew time was short. The facility's security was breaking down. Alien guards ran in all directions. Confusion was their greatest weapon now. Kim's communication device continued to send false signals, telling the facility's computer system that everything was normal, that nothing was wrong. "We've got 2 minutes," Park said. The last items were grabbed. The team prepared to move. But they weren't just escaping. They were preparing to fight back. The Galactic Council had made a mistake. They had captured humans. They had thought humans could be controlled. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Ready," Captain Park said. The team moved. Like shadows. Like ghosts. Like something the aliens had never seen before. The escape was about to become something much more. The first alien ship appeared quickly. Too quickly. Sergeant Jae-sum Kim saw it first. A massive vessel that looked more like a living creature than a machine. Its hull shifted colors, moved like something breathing. "They're tracking us," he said. Captain Hyun-woo Park didn't answer. His hands were already moving. The stolen alien technology they had grabbed was about to be tested. Lieutenant Suk-jin Lee worked the navigation system. It was nothing like human technology. Buttons that weren't buttons. Controls that seemed to read thoughts. But Lee was good. Very good. The ship they had stolen was small, fast, designed for quick movements, not for long fights. Multiple contacts, you called out. His young voice was calm. Trained. 4 ships. No, 5. Corporal Minho Choi was already preparing weapons, alien devices that looked more like art than tools of war. But weapons were weapons. Sergeant Dong Hyuk Kang monitored team health. One wrong move could kill them all. The first energy blast came fast. It was blue, bright, powerful enough to destroy most ships. But this was not most ships. This was a ship run by Green Berets. Lee's hands moved. The ship twisted, bent in ways no normal ship could move. The energy blast missed them by centimeters. They're using quantum tracking, Kim said. We need to break their signal. Another device came out, something they had stolen from the armory, a small crystal that seemed to change colors with each movement. Quantum disruptor, Kim explained, should confuse their tracking systems. The ship twisted again. Another energy blast missed them. The alien ships were getting closer, each one different. Some looked like metal. Some looked like they were made of living light. Some seemed to change shape as they moved. We're not just running, Captain Park said. We're fighting back. Choi's weapon fired. Not a human weapon. Not an alien weapon. Something in between. Something new. The first alien ship exploded. Not a big explosion. A precise one. Targeted. A message. Humans were here. Humans were fighting. More ships came. The Galactic Council was not used to losing. Not used to being challenged. Lee's hands continued to move. The ship danced between energy blasts. Moved in ways that should have been impossible. Kim's devices continued to work, sending false signals. Confusing tracking systems. You watched the tactical display. Young. Sharp. Catching things others might miss. Kang prepared medical systems, ready for anything. Another ship exploded. Then another. The Galactic Council was learning something important. Humans were not victims. Humans were fighters. We need a bigger message, Captain Park said. The team looked at each other. They knew what that meant. This was not just an escape anymore. This was a statement. Humans were here, and they would not be controlled. The quantum communication device sang with stolen information. Sergeant Jae-sung Kim's fingers moved like lightning. Each touch sent waves of data streaming through alien communication networks. What he was doing was impossible. At least, that's what the Galactic Council would say. I'm in, he said quietly. Captain Hyunwoo Park stood behind him, watching, waiting. The rest of the team prepared for what would come next. The stolen crystal-like device began to glow. Colors shifted. Patterns emerged that no human had ever seen before. But Kim understood. He was reading between the lines of alien communication. They don't know what hit them, Kim said. Lieutenant Seok-jin Lee was already planning the next move. Military strategy was about more than just fighting. It was about sending messages, making statements. The communication network of the Galactic Council began to break down. False messages, contradictory orders, complete chaos. We're broadcasting everything, Kim explained. Every detail of our capture, our treatment, our escape. Private Sung Min-yu watched the tactical displays. Young, but sharp, understanding what was happening. Who are we sending this to? He asked. Captain Park's smile was cold. Everyone. Corporal Minho Choi prepared additional devices, anything that could cause more confusion, more disruption. The quantum communication device continued to work, sending signals across hundreds of alien communication systems, breaking through firewalls that should have been unbreakable, sending messages that should have been impossible to send. Sergeant Dong Hyuk Kang monitored team health, but he was also watching the communication streams. A medic did more than heal bodies. A medic understood systems, how things worked together. The first responses came quickly. Alien communication channels lit up. Confusion spread like a virus. "They're trying to block us," Kim said. "But they can't." Each blocked channel was replaced by 3 more. Each firewall broke and opened new pathways. The message was simple. Humans had been captured. Humans had been mistreated. Humans had fought back. And now, humans were telling everyone about it. Different alien species began to respond. Some with anger. Some with curiosity. Some with something that looked like respect. "We're not just escaping," Captain Park said. "We're changing things." The quantum device continued to work, sending more information, breaking more systems. Alien military communications became a mess. Orders contradicted each other. Systems began to fail. "How long can we keep this up?" you asked. Kim's fingers never stopped moving. "As long as we need to." The Galactic Council had made a mistake. They had underestimated humans. They had thought humans could be controlled. Now they were learning differently. One communication channel at a time. One broken system at a time. Humans were sending a message. "We will not be controlled. We will fight back." The barren moon looked like nothing special. Rocks, dust, shadows. But it would become a battlefield. Captain Hyunwoo Park studied the terrain. Every rock, every shadow, every possible hiding spot. Military training never stopped, not even when everything looked hopeless. "They're coming," Sergeant Jae-sung Kim said. The first alien ships appeared on the horizon. Not just a few. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. The Galactic Council was not playing games anymore. Lieutenant Suk-jin Lee was already setting traps. Not normal traps. Strange traps made from stolen alien technology. Devices that would confuse, disrupt, destroy. "We're not surviving," Lee said. "We're making a statement." Corporal Min Ho Choi prepared explosives, alien devices mixed with human creativity. Weapons that would do more than just destroy. Weapons that would send a message. Private Sung Min-yu watched the incoming ships. Young, but not afraid. Never afraid. Sergeant Dong Hyuk Kang prepared medical supplies. But these were not just medical supplies. These were survival tools. Weapons of last resort. The first wave of ships landed. Alien soldiers poured out. Different species, different shapes, different technologies. But all with one goal. Capture. Destroy. Punish. They did not know what they were walking into. Lee's first trap worked perfectly. An energy wave that made alien technology fail. Weapons became useless. Communication systems died. Choi's explosives began to work. Not big explosions. Precise explosions, each one designed to create maximum confusion. Kim's communication devices continued to broadcast, telling the story of human resistance to anyone who would listen. The moon became a nightmare for the alien forces. Traps everywhere, explosions from unexpected places, communication systems that gave wrong information. Captain Park moved like a ghost, leading, directing, fighting. Yu was faster than the aliens expected. Young muscles, quick reflexes, military training that went beyond normal human limits. Kang kept the team alive, healing, supporting, fighting when needed. The aliens kept coming, wave after wave, ship after ship, but each wave lost more than the last. "We're not just fighting," Captain Park said. "We're teaching a lesson." The lesson was simple. Humans were not victims. Humans would fight back. Humans would survive. More ships fell. More alien soldiers found themselves lost, confused, defeated. The moon became a graveyard of alien technology. Kim's communication devices continued to broadcast, showing the galaxy what was happening, telling the story of 6 humans who refused to be controlled. Lee's traps continued to work, breaking alien systems, creating chaos. Choi's explosives continued to destroy, precisely, effectively. Yu continued to fight, young, strong, unstoppable. Kang continued to keep the team alive, healing, supporting. Captain Park continued to lead. The battle was not about winning. The battle was about sending a message. Humans were here, and humans would not be stopped. The silence came suddenly. Captain Hyunwoo Park looked around. The moon was covered in broken alien technology. Destroyed ships, scattered weapons. The ground was not moon rock anymore. It was a battlefield. "We're not done," he said. Sergeant Jae-sung Kim's communication device was still working, sending signals, telling the story of what happened. Lieutenant Suk-jin Lee checked the remaining resources. Not much, but enough. Corporal Min-ho Choi had one last surprise. Always have a backup plan. That was Special Forces training. Private Sung Min-yu stood watch. Young, but experienced now. Not the same soldier who started this mission. Sergeant Dong-hyuk Kang checked everyone's injuries. They were hurt, but alive. The first rescue ship appeared different from the alien vessels. Sleek, fast, human design. "Extraction team," Kim said. But this was not a simple rescue. This was a statement. The human ship landed. No markings, no identification, just pure military design. A team emerged, not just soldiers, special operators, people who understood what had happened here. "Captain Park," the lead operator called. Park stepped forward. Mission accomplished. The team knew what that meant. They had done more than escape. They had sent a message to the entire galaxy. Humans were not victims. Humans were not prisoners. Humans would fight back. The extraction team moved quickly, collecting equipment, gathering evidence, making sure nothing was left behind. Kim's communication device continued to broadcast the story of their capture, their escape, their fight. Alien bodies lay everywhere, not from direct fighting, from the chaos they had created. "How many did we take out?" you asked. Lee checked the tactical display. Enough to make a statement. Choi had one last surprise, a device that would continue to disrupt alien systems even after they left. "We're sending a message," Captain Park said. The message was clear. Humans were here. Humans would not be controlled. The extraction ship lifted off, leaving the moon a graveyard of alien technology. Kim's final broadcast went out to every communication system in range. A warning, a promise, a threat. The Galactic Council had made a mistake. They had captured 6 humans. They would not make that mistake again. The ship disappeared into space, leaving behind a moon that would become a legend. A story of 6 humans who refused to be victims, who fought back, who survived, who sent a message to the entire galaxy. Humans were here, and humans would not be stopped.